Kahala Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Rakal Kodash. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of the great millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect who are the house of David reborn again in this generation. And Shalom to the 130 Asherala, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Indians, who before losing their true heritage were known as the Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the events going on in Europe right now, about the UK, the United Kingdom, exiting from the European Union in what is known as Brexit. Let's watch this.
The British people have spoken, and the answer is we're out.
The country requires fresh leadership.
Brexit means Brexit. A general election. You're joking. Not another one?
We cannot see any way at all that the Conservatives can get to the 326 mark, and we think it's pretty clear that there is going to be a parliament.
I believe our best days lie ahead of us.
Order! The news have it! The news have it! The news have it!
Flexible extension. Do not waste this time.
I will shortly leave the job.
I have accepted.
Suspend Parliament.
Not acceptable.
Unlawful.
I do see a pathway.
We will pause this legislation.
The Prime Minister, who said last month that he'd rather die in a ditch
I'd rather be dead in a ditch.
than ask for another Brexit delay, has now written to the European Council President accepting a 3-month extension.
We're going to go out there with the biggest campaign this party has ever mounted.
Get Brexit done.
9 years to fund our NHS.
A little bit patronising.
The mess of Brexit.
Boris Johnson's deal is unacceptable.
I don't even know where that road is turned.
Our exit poll is suggesting that there will be a Conservative majority.
We don't give up.
I wish you well.
The eyes have it.
Royal Assent. European Union Withdrawal Agreement Act 2020.
And so it's happened. The European Union has finally removed itself from Brexit. And Apostle Tahar
I
here,
don't think anything's going to happen today.
let me actually let you watch
I
this.
think we've left for all the right reasons. I think this country's going to be better off, maybe not in the short term. I think there might be some short-term economic damage, but that'll rapidly disappear. I think Europe needed us a lot more than we needed them. And I'm delighted that we have left. I've got nothing against Europe. I just think it's an economically dysfunctional organisation and a corrupt organisation, and one which won't last. I don't wish it any harm, but I'm glad we've left it.
So, as that man just said, a lot of the reason that these Europeans wanted out of it is because, just as it tells you in the Bible that that the kingdom of the last kingdom would be akin to feet made of potter's clay or miry clay and iron. Right? This is told in Daniel's 4:1. This is Daniel's 4:1. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with the miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. And that kingdom that is going to be set up is the kingdom of the Lord, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. You see, Apostle Tahar had asked if Brexit had anything to do with prophecy, and it sure does. It has to do with the feet of the statue which Daniel saw when he was shown the dream of Nebuchadnezzar, and it was a representation of the last kingdom. Now the strong part of it represents the strong nations, Germany, England, and some of these other nations within the European Union, which were the military and financial might. Now the weak parts of it, the parts that you would consider clay, would be what's known as the pig nations: Portugal, Italy, Greece, and I believe Spain, right? Because those were the nations which had financial and military issues where they couldn't fulfill their agreements, and hence they were a burden to carry. And that's ultimately why Edom wanted out of the EU, right? Why these English people, who are ultimately Edomites, they wanted out of it, man. They wanted to forge their own path, right? And ultimately, besides it being in Daniel's, it's also this also goes back to what the Lord had said, right? This is Matthew 12:26. And if Satan's cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? And if I by Beelzebub cast out devils, by whom do your children cast them out? Therefore they shall be your judges. So you see, the Lord had made a statement talking about Satan's kingdom, right? And how when Satan's kingdom turns against itself, that it wouldn't be able to stand and be dominant over the world anymore. And that's exactly what's happening. You see, EU, even though it's sprinkled between these different heathen nations, and Edom, ultimately it's Edom at the helm of it, right? He's the one who created the European Union Council. He's the one who regulates everything. Amalek comes out and says that the EU or that the United Nations is in their back pocket, and it's really just their dog to control. So ultimately, these are all Edomites in on this scheme. But ultimately, other Edomites, these English Edomites, these Britons, which again, they're not Britons. They are the people who took over that land once the true rulers of that land, who would be known as the Negroes, who also ruled the land of England and Britain during the time of the Middle Ages, or what's known as the Dark Ages, right before these Edomites, the so-called Caucasians, took over during the time of the Renaissance. Well, they're starting to divide against themselves, man, because they don't see a benefit of joining up, and because of that, their kingdom is falling, man. You had the EU try to push on these other nations the adoption of bringing migrants in, or refugees, right? When the refugees were being caused by the wars that was being waged by the US and the EU itself, right? And also there's something called the Kalergi Plan, right? Where it talks about how they would basically flood the Western nations with refugees, and ultimately what that would do is it would bring a backlash, and this way they could push through another aspect of their New World Order, which is a bit of what's happening, why you're seeing all these refugees going into these other nations, man, because they're being drawn out of their own land. But that's all I wanted to highlight in this. You know, Apostle Tahar asked us to point out where in prophecy in the Bible does Brexit fit in, and like I just said, and like a lot of other brothers said, it's part of the feat of miry clay and iron, and also about Satan's house being divided. So, you know, it's only the first month, the last day of the first month of January, and we've gone through a massive amount of prophecies, and it's only going to keep rolling on. You could tell that things are going to keep getting faster and faster. We're only going to see a lot more things come to play. So with all that, I want to go and give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakak, Radash, God, my teachers, the apostles, and elders of the great millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.